All right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, we are live in full effect right here, right now, with one of the West's best hip hop artists of all time. We got Big Mac right here, live on the line. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good, Immortal. I'm good. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. I gotta first say, first and foremost, man, I've been a fan for a long time, bro. So just thank you so much for just giving us a little bit of your time this evening.
I appreciate that, man. I really appreciate that.
But I gotta ask you, Matt, because I know you're a busy guy, man. So I'm just gonna dive right into this interview, man. But I gotta ask you, taking you back to the beginning of your illustrious music career, man. Like, what actually sparked you and made you decide to get into the music industry?
Well, I was a DJ since I was a little kid, so I was always taking my parents, equipment, speakers, turntables, and making me a setup. While they was at work, I had a setup in my room compiled of my father's turntable, mom's turntables, speakers, and all that. And by the time they got home, I had everything back in the living room and put back the way they had it. But every day I made a DJ setup, in my room with their equipment. So I was a DJ at first.
Did they ever actually like know you did that, or were you just doing that kind of like behind their back type thing?
No, they absolutely knew. They absolutely knew. Because then after that, I stopped getting. This was when I was about 7 years old. So then I stopped. I stopped putting it back, in the living room, and then I started, wanting them to buy me other stuff so that I could make it work better. I had big homies in the neighborhood that were DJs, and I'd go over their house and look at their equipment. And like another homie of mine named Robert Vernon, he's the DJ for Ill Mannered Posse, Coog Nut and C Fresh and them. So I used to hang out with his little brother. And I'd go to the house, look at his equipment, and I'd tell my mom, I need a mixer. She said, "What's a mixer?" I said, "They got him at Radio Shack." So I started off with a realistic mixer without a fader.
Hey, man, you know what? Every DJ has to start somewhere, man. But it sounds like you had great inspirations, and most definitely some great individuals helping you along the way.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, I was a DJ at first, and then to get into rapping, I was a DJ, and my rapper, he got saved, and he wanted to, focus on church and stuff like that, and I was already co-writing with him. I was already helping him write his lyrics. So the engineers at the studio said, "Well, I guess you're a rapper now, Mac," and so that's how it started.
And also, man, since now we're going into your MC days, I also noticed as well that you were actually signed to Fat Sack Records, along with some other amazing West Coast individuals as well. I was wondering, man, how did that record deal actually come to be for you? And of course, what was it like just working for Fat Sack?
Well, I heard they was putting out a compilation, right? So, and I was going to the studio. Me and my homies was going to the studio. None of them rap. I was the only one rapping, but they all put their money in with me, to go to the studio. So I got to give a shout out to my boy Brian Sams, Lionel Glanson, Kenny Mixon. They all put their money in with me to start this. So I had like 2 or 3 songs done, and I heard Fat Sack was doing a compilation. Their name at the time was We Got the Bomb. It wasn't Fat Sack yet. So they got some legal situation where they couldn't use that name. So then we thought of Fat Sack Records because we was big with the trees at that time. So I saw the dude that was the exec, Richard Norris. I saw him on 3rd Street in our neighborhood, and I had my cassette tape. I said, I heard you doing a compilation. He said, yeah. I said, let me put my stuff in. Let me let you hear it. And I rapped, letting them know for him right there on the block. And it went from right there on the block, from them doing the compilation, which had Hitman, Nate the Bankster, couple other artists on that compilation already. It went from that, from doing a compilation to just doing my album. They said, let's just do an album with dude right here. He hard. So it kind of signed me on the block.
And that's actually really cool, man. You know what I mean? It just proves, man, that you had that talent and that raw lyrical flow that they're like, you know what, we want this guy. They probably wanted to snag you up off the corner, man, before somebody else did.
That's what it seemed like. That's what it seemed like. And then my first album are the first raps I ever wrote.
Really? Like, I want to ask, what year did you actually write those raps? Were they just, like, coming up through the years, or did you write them the same year that record actually came out?
Yeah, so I had 2 songs done. And when Richard said he was gonna sign me and everything, he said from now on you don't have to worry about going to, paying for the studio, none of that type of stuff or whatever. So I was just writing them as we was getting the beats made. Since I was a DJ, I knew which beats and which songs I wanted to flip, and make and make my own out of. I didn't have the lyrics yet, but as we made each beat, I wrote each song, like at G-Man Stan Studio. I wrote the songs he produced for me. DJ TC and Reg and them, I wrote that song there. I wrote every song at the studio. Those are my first raps written.
And also as well, man, I know exactly what record you're speaking of. And that's actually one of my personal favorite records. It's actually called A Better Way, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely, yep.
And I gotta ask you, man, like, because one of my favorite collaborations you actually have on that record is actually the RBL Posse. And I was wondering, how did yourself and the RBL Posse get connected? And what was it like just actually being in the studio and working with those guys?
Okay, so they from my neighborhood. I've been knowing Chris and them since we was, younger. Chris is a little younger than me. He's my big bro in this music stuff, though. That's my big bro in this music stuff. So at that time, it's a trip because Oakdale and Harbor had a little beef going. Not a little beef, a major beef going. But me, I was like, I call myself the ambassador of Hunters Point because I can go anywhere in the city, period. Not just Hunters Point, but I can go anywhere in the city. I didn't have like gang ties like that. So we saw Mr. C and my boy DeRace. We call him DeRace Face. We saw him, and they had the beat already because we had gave him the beat already. He said, "You got a hook?" I said, "No." Mr. C wrote that hook for me and said, "This is what you gonna say. This is what we gonna say." And that's basically how that came about. They wanted to get on it. I did my first performance was at a club called the 30 Plus, and RBL, the Get Low Posse was there, all of them, Demo, San Quinn, JT, Steph the Gaffler, everybody was there, Rappin' Forte, 11-5, and that was the first time I performed in front of anybody. So after they saw me perform, everybody was like, they didn't even know I rapped, and they was just down with me and shit. So when I got at them about my song, it was a no-brainer. They just jumped on it. And the thing about that thing is, RBL from Harbor Road, 11-5, which from Oakdale, that's my cousin in 11-5, Tay. That's my little cousin. So we had a reunion in the studio that night. We had Harbor Road and Oakdale in the studio at my session. We had like 30 dudes, 20 dudes from each turf in the session while we recorded that song. And no beef, no nothing jumped off. It was like a reunion. And that kind of kindled, that kind of got together, let me say, it didn't put Oakdale and Harbor back together, but musically, it got RBL and 11-5 together.
And I just want to say as well as one more on the topic of RBL Posse, man, I just want to say, like, my condolences to Mr. C and Hitman. I gotta say, RBL Posse, one of the best trios in all of hip-hop, man, and it was really sad just to hear about Mr. C and Hitman, so I just wanted to extend my condolences.
Yeah, thank you very much, man. Them some good dudes right there. And like I say, Mr. C used to take, he liked lyricists, like myself. We both like lyricists, people who had punchlines and came up, even back then and stuff. So me and Mr. C used to hang out a lot. He'd come to my house, even though the beef was on and everything. He'd come to my house, we'd go in, we'd listen to music and talk, and really kicked it real hard. Same with Hitman. That was my young homie, man. He was actually in the car with me when I went and did my first songs for Fat Sack for my album.
Oh, nice.
He was actually at the studio with me because Fat Sack was gonna sign Hitman at first, but he was real young, and I guess it took some time, and they focused on me, and Hitman ended up going over to Chris.
And also as well, man, another amazing individual you had the opportunity to work with is actually Little Rick, who is actually formerly of No Limit Records. You actually had the opportunity to collaborate with him on his 1996 record titled Wicked Streets. I was wondering, how did yourself and Little Rick get connected? And of course, what is the story behind that collaboration?
So we went out to Mike Mosley's studio, and we were just going out there to really network with Mike Mosley. And Rick was out there doing his song. Rick heard my voice and came out and said, "Hey man, can you get on the hook for me? Can you stick this for me on my hook?" I said, "Yeah, it's all good." And that's exactly how it happened. Been my homie ever since.
And I gotta say as well, Little Rick, man, is such a phenomenal MC, man. I actually have him coming up here on the radio station here in a couple days, man. And I just got to say, man, like, and I'm not just saying this because he's coming on the radio station, but probably one of the biggest and best MCs to actually just grace the West Coast, man. He does not get a lot of credit that he truthfully deserves.
Absolutely, and he still got it too. I mean, it's been a while since we first came out and started, but the pen is still sharp. You know what I'm saying?
And I gotta say, do you guys have any plans to do any more work in the future? Do you guys have any like new projects currently in the works together?
Not together, but I mean, I contacted him. I got at him a little while ago when I saw him coming back, you know, doing his thing and everything. And we said we was gonna get something together, but we just haven't done it. That's it. But other than that, it's nothing but a phone call. So.
And also, man, excuse me, sir, aside from your solo career, you were also a member of the hip-hop group called The Unexpected. I was wondering if you could tell our listeners a bit more about that group, and of course, how did you actually meet the other members?
Wow, you done did your homework, man. The Unexpected. Okay, so we were all basically recording at the same studio. 11.5, Big Mack, Cold World Hustlers, UDI, Charlie Manhattan. And so we just decided, man, we was going to show up at the studio every Saturday and knock out some songs. And that's exactly what we did. And Laid and Kev put the beats down for us, and that's basically how that happened.
And I remember as well, in 2002, you guys actually dropped the album You Didn't Know, and I gotta say, that album is absolutely phenomenal. In my personal opinion, most definitely an uncut gem from the early 2000s. But I gotta know, man, I'm pretty sure the listeners want to know as well, like, what's the story behind that phenomenal record, man? Because I gotta say, that album deserves so much more than what it unfortunately got.
Well, the thing is that the producer, Laid, handled all the business with that album. That's why none of the artists, we really didn't have our hands on anything but making the music. We showed up every Saturday and recorded the songs, and we left everything in his hands. So that's how and he ended up pushing it with Urban Life, and my boy Brandon was running Urban Life, B12 at the time, and B12 looked out for us, and that's how that happened. And he also looked out for me with my second album, Everybody Wanna Roll. So.
And I gotta say as well, man, like, that album had some phenomenal individuals on it too as well. Like, it had like San Quinn, it had Urban Vibe, you know. I remember I think even Kevin Shortage was on there as well, man. Just the collaborations and the individuals you had featured on there was just absolutely phenomenal.
Yep. Too Short, Tay, Sean T produced most of it, and that was before Sean had even produced, you know, for Mac Dre or Messy Marv or any of them. So Sean T produced most of that album for me. Stan the G-Man did maybe one or two songs, but Sean T did the rest.
And I gotta ask as well, is that album still out there today to be purchased? Because, like, unfortunately, I had a copy back in the day, but I actually lost my CD copy. Like, is there a website us listeners can go to and snag ourselves a copy still to this day?
I got you. I'll send you one. That's easy. It's nothing.
Hey, most definitely. After we get off the interview, I'll hit you up and I'll ask you how much the shipping is, man, and we'll actually coordinate that, and I'll send those funds over to you tonight.
For sure. It's all good.
But also, man, in 2012, so jumping ahead in the timeline here a little bit, yourself and Tay to Tay actually released a record called Access Granted. I was wondering if you can tell our listeners a bit more about that project, and of course, where can we actually buy or stream ourselves a copy of that record today?
Okay, so Access Granted, this guy named Dob C, and also my boy Kit Evans out of New Mexico. There's some producers, and they got at me and Tay, and they said they wanted us to do an album together with their production. They didn't want us to go to any other producers. So, you know, me and Tay thought about it, and we was like, hey, let's get it in. Let's get it in for them real quick or whatever. So they basically just, I ain't gonna say the money amount or whatever, but they basically broke us off half the money amount up front. And when we was done with the album, they broke us off the other half, and we was basically done with it. So it can be streamed on all the platforms, Apple Music, iTunes, Tidal, all those now. But like I said, that's another one where we actually just sold that album to the producers, Dob C.
And I gotta say as well, it's a phenomenal record, man. So it's pretty cool that you can actually go out there and just stream it nowadays.
Yeah, it is cool. That is cool because I mean, it's a lot of stuff. You know, the internet wasn't really around when we first started and everything, so it's a lot of stuff out there on the internet. A lot of people bootlegging and jacking our shit, like, you know, and just taking it and putting it on the internet. So I'm getting all my business together now. I'll be on the internet as far as just me, Big Mac, on all platforms real soon. So I got everything together. I have new projects coming as well as the old ones.
And also, well, speaking of the new project, I don't know if you want to touch too much base on this because I know it's an unreleased track, but just moments before we actually got live on the air, you actually shot me a brand new track titled "All on Me," featuring another phenomenal West Coast hip hop artist by the name of Keek the Sneak. I was wondering if you could tell our listeners a bit more about that project and how did this collaboration with Keek actually come to be?
Okay, so I've been knowing Keek since let me say maybe 97, 96. I met Keek, Adrian and Bart. I met them at Funky Fat Graphics. Same day I met Sibo, Master P, Silky Shocker, and all them. We all was getting our album covers done at Funky Fat Graphics, a place in Oakland. It's not around anymore now, but shout out to Funky Fat Graphics. So I met all them there, and so we didn't really network or get together, but we all looked at each other and sized each other up. And I guess I left there and went and listened to their music and was like, okay, they dope, he's dope. You know what I'm saying? So after that, just being from the Bay Area, seeing Keek at the clubs, Caribbean is a reggae club, and used to be a reggae club in Oakland. I used to see him there all the time, and we'd always hook up and just kick it. So I had a few partners. I always have partners that want to do music, and they ask me, you know, can you get in touch with such and such to do a song? Get in touch with such and such. And so I got him. I got Keek, you know, on a few songs of my partners. And you know, when you give somebody some money, they look out for you. So I always wait. I never try to use my influences to get at people like hey man, I need you to do a song, and it's just like that. Nah, I wait till I get all my stuff together. I know my project is coming, and then I try to make them calls and get some favors done. So that's what I did. I just waited, and then I know Keek is going through some stuff. He's bailed out and he's fighting the case and in a wheelchair and getting his health back right now. But I reached out to him, and he said it's nothing. And I sent him the track, and he sent me the track back in about an hour.
Damn.
So that's how that happened. It was done in about an hour. I sent it to him, and he sent it back to me in an hour. Done.
And I gotta say, he's a fast worker as well, man. And I was gonna say as well, I saw a video of him actually standing on his own, man. So I just want to say my prayers go out to him, man. He's most definitely pushing along.
I saw that video too. He sure is pushing, man. I'm praying for my guy, man.
I gotta say, he has a heart of steel. So I'm gonna say, I think he most definitely can do that, man, because he's doing the unstoppable. And I gotta say, nothing but prayers to Keek the Sneak.
Absolutely.
But I gotta ask you, other than this song that we're gonna be debuting here on the radio station directly after this interview, what is next for the legendary Big Mac? Because I know you got some projects in the works, but other than that, is there anything else I missed? Anything else you still want to talk about or promote? What would stop you here live on the Canadian airwaves?
Absolutely. I got a project out right now. I'm also in another group called Four Below. They are a group already established, already out. And we did a song together, and we liked the chemistry so much, we said, let's fuck it, man. Let's just do a whole album together. So that's out right now. It's Four Below, and it's called Real One. That album's out now. I got a project that I'm finishing up with a guy named King Reed, and it's called the G Template. King Reed was my label mate on Fat Sack. He never came out on Fat Sack other than the compilation. Came out with a song on the compilation, but that was my label mate from Fat Sack, and we were the ones, you know, holding it together, riding tight for that label. And so we got an album that we just finished, and we're gonna release that. We also got a group project called Max Julian, where it's me and King Reed, Jules Jones, and another producer. That it's like a pop project called Max Julian, and it's 2 singers and 2 rappers. So we got that one done as well. And then I got my 2 albums ready to go. One is the group called The Soul Stone, Volume 1 and Volume 2. And one is produced by T.D. Camp, and the other one is produced by, you know, various producers. I got Sean T again, G-Man Stan. I got Juan Ugly Fingers on that one. TC, DJ TC. Les G. And so, yeah, that's basically it. I got the Soul Stone coming, Volume 1 and 2.
And I gotta say, Mac, it most definitely sounds like this is your year, man. It sounds like, the triumphant comeback. You got a shit ton of amazing projects by the sounds of it, man. And I'm so excited to just cop myself a couple copies of each of those projects.
Yeah, I'm excited, man, because it's to the time now where it's like I'm not really in competition with anybody. Whoever does fuck with me, it's gonna be organic. They fuck with me. I wouldn't care if it's 1,000 people that fuck with me. I'll take those 1,000 over trying to push to the masses that are still following the younger rappers and staying in their lane. I'm not rapping about what I used to rap about because I don't do that no more. I'm not in that game no more. None of that. So I'm staying in my lane, as an older rapper or what have you, that still got a pen. My pen is from Mars. And I'm just ready to show that. So basically now, I'm not in it for the money. I'm just in it for the love of the music.
But I gotta say also, Big Mac, this is the time quickly right before I wrap things up in the interview that I give a chance for the individual that does slide into the radio station airwaves, just a chance to give shoutouts to whomever they want to give shoutouts to, but most of all, man, your social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you and stay updated on everything Big Mac if they're not already doing so.
Okay, shoot, let me see, because my social medias, I'm SF Big Mac on Instagram. And I'm Big Mack Comer, Commer, on Facebook. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram. I don't do Twitter because I run my mouth too much, and I don't like the limits of the posts or whatever. So I never got into Twitter, but I'm on Facebook and Instagram. SF Big Mac on Instagram and Big Mack Comer on Facebook. And if I'm gonna give a shout out to anybody, I'm gonna say rest in peace to my mom. My mom passed away in August, and that's what's she's basically the heaviest thing on my mind right now. So I just want to say, I love my mom, and she passed away in August, and that's the only shout out I'm gonna give.
And I just want to say quickly, my sincere condolences. My sincere condolences, Big Mac.
Right on, man. I appreciate that.
But I gotta say, Big Mac, thank you so much for just giving us a little bit of your time this evening. Truthfully, it's an absolute honor. Like I said at the beginning of the interview, I've been a fan for a long time, so just being able to chop it up with someone you grew up listening to is surreal, but at the same time phenomenal. So thank you so much, Big Mac, and most definitely have yourself a wonderful night out there on the West Coast.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You as well. Let me say hi to let me go ahead and give a shout out to Lil Rick. And Huey and C. I think you got two on there tonight as well.
Yeah, I had him on a call about an hour or so ago, but I'm pretty sure he'll most definitely run this interview back.
Yep, give a shout out to my boy Huey MC. Man, I went to school with him for a year and didn't even know he was Huey MC.
Really? Did you guys ever have the opportunity to work together?
Nah, we went to City College together. I was playing football. I wasn't even rapping. I was DJing at the time, and he was already rapping. He was already Huey MC. We partied. We did all that, and we called him Tuki. And I did not even know he was Huey MC. That's how cool that's how humble he is.
Hey, well, I gotta say, he most definitely was a humble guy. But hey, now that you know he's an MC, I know he's just doing some new projects as well. So maybe this interview could spark a Big Mac and a long-awaited Big Mac and Huey MC collaboration.
That would be easy to do. I see Tuke all the time, man. We holler all the time. That would be easy to do. So we probably will get something together. And we still here, so.
Hey, most definitely. But I gotta say, Mac, again, thank you so much.
I also gotta say, rest in peace to my brother Mano from 11.5, who just passed away as well.
My condolences on him, man. You know what I mean? It's always sad when you lose a brother.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, Mac, again, man, thank you so much again for years of amazing hip-hop, man. It was an honor and most definitely a privilege. And when your new projects do drop, if you need any radio promotion or whatnot, hit me up, and I most definitely got you.
I absolutely will, and thank you. I appreciate you as well.
Hey, man, you are most certainly welcome. Have yourself a wonderful night, Big Mac.
You as well.